This next problem we're about to do is homework to number 3, and our problem is to evaluate sine 5 pi over 12 as sine pi over 4 plus pi over 6. And using pi over 4 plus pi over 6, that right there is telling us to use our angle sum or difference identity, and because we're adding, it's obviously going to be an angle sum identity. And that's one of our trig identities. And basically that formula tells us that sine of A plus B equals sine of A times cosine of B plus cosine of A times sine of B. It tells us that these two are equivalent. And so we already have our two that we're going to use, which is A and B. A is going to be pi over 4 and B is going to be pi over 6. And right here I gave us the unit circle just as a reference. I only gave us one quadrant because we only really need one quadrant. And so we know that, I'll just write it out really quickly before I go over that. So sine of pi over 4 times cosine of pi over 6 plus cosine of pi over 4 times sine of pi over 6. Okay, and we know from our unit circle that sine is y and cosine is x. So sine, we're going to look at the y value of pi over 4, which is the middle line, and that's root 2 over 2. And we're going to multiply that by our cosine pi over 6. Cosine is x, and pi over 6 is here, so that's root 3 over 2. And we're going to add that, sorry if it looks like a multiplication sign, we're going to add that to our cosine of pi over 4, which is the same thing, root 2 over 2, and sine pi over 6, which is the y value, which is 1/2. Okay, and you multiply all that together, and we're going to simplify that now to root 6 over 4, because 2 times 2 equals 4, plus root 2 over 4. And when we simplify that, you can't simplify root 6 and root 4, so you just put them together, and you're going to end up with root 6 plus root 2 all over 4. And that's our total answer to make it correct using the angle sum identities.